One bike every minute. A finished Royal Enfield rolls off the end of the line, gets a final look from an inspector, and it's gone so the next frame can slide in. Inside the factory, it's all rhythm. No empty space, no waiting, just steady motion turning steel into bikes all day. The wild part is the scale. Close to 1 million motorcycles a year, shipped into dozens of countries, priced like an affordable classic instead of a boutique toy. Let's follow one bike from start to finish and see how they pull it off. Body 1, the factory machine in Chennai. Speed, space, people. To hit a pace like this, picture the factory like a small city with one job. Royal Enfield runs its big manufacturing base around Chennai, with modern plants in places like Oragadam and Vallam Vadagal to feed global demand. When you walk in, it's not a sci-fi robot show, it's just huge. Real roads cut through the campus, parts move constantly, and people are everywhere keeping the flow smooth. A motorcycle factory isn't one long line. It's a bunch of lines feeding the main one. Frames, engines, wheels, wiring, tanks, each timed to arrive right when they're needed. The whole game is flow control because a delay upstream turns into a pile of half-built bikes downstream. On the floor, most workers do one tight job over and over. One station might torque a set of bolts, the next routes a harness, the next clips in a brake line, scan, move on. It sounds repetitive, but that repetition is how you get consistent bikes at this volume, and a team lead is always there to keep stations from slipping. Everything is timed to a metronome called takt time, basically the allowed time per station. When you've got about 80 or 90 seconds, you don't catch up later. If a step is too big, it gets split into sub-assemblies so each station stays doable. Parts are staged right next to the work, not as clutter, but to save seconds. And maintenance matters more than people think. Tools fail, airlines leak, sensors freak out. So fixes have to be fast, because downtime gets expensive immediately. Frames start as plain steel, and welding is where robots earn their keep. Repeatable welds at speed are brutal for a human shift after shift. You'll still see manual checks for fit and alignment, because the goal isn't a show bike, it's the same spec every time. Then paint and finishing, which can wreck output if it goes sideways. Parts get hung, cleaned, coated, cured, and checked. Inspection doesn't live only at the end. It's a set of quality gates all the way through because catching one bad batch early beats reworking hundreds of bikes later. When something's off, the bike gets pulled into rework, fixed, and pushed back into flow. They track builds with barcodes and build sheets, and even torque tools log values. Because tight enough isn't a feeling at 1 million units a year, it's a number. And yes, sometimes the line stops. Not for drama, because 2 minutes now can prevent a recall later. The only way this pace works is if parts show up exactly when they're supposed to, all day, every day. Body 2, the supply chain plus engines, how they feed 1 million builds. Now zoom out, because the line is the part that looks cool. But the real work is what you don't see. One motorcycle is thousands of parts, and one missing sensor or late casting can leave you with a floor full of parked frames. So Royal Enfield runs on a huge supplier web across Tamil Nadu and beyond, plus a smaller set of imported parts they can't or don't want to source locally. At this scale, the supply chain is basically a nervous system. It's vendors making fasteners, harnesses, brakes, tires, seats, plastics, electronics, and more. Some parts arrive ready to bolt on, others arrive as sub-assemblies, and a few are built inside Enfield plants. The boring superpower here is predictable volume. Big orders let them lock capacity, push for better quality, and squeeze costs down without turning the bike into a rattlebox. Supply risk is the constant threat. The wrong single-sourced part can choke the whole line, so they lean on dual sourcing for critical stuff, incoming checks, and tight tracking from build to release. Then you hit the power core, the engines. The brand used to live on simple singles and that thump, but now you've got modern platforms like the 450 and the 650 twins. The 450 brings liquid cooling, tighter packaging, and more sensors that all have to be right. The 650 is a smoother parallel twin meant to feel like a step up without jumping into premium pricing. Either way, the hard part is holding tight tolerances at high volume. That's where CNC machining and gauging come in. Engine cases, heads, sealing surfaces, bore checks, flatness, alignment. Tiny errors turn into leaks, bad compression, and warranty pain. So managers are constantly choosing between scrap and rework. At the same time, the rest of the bike gets built in parallel. Wheels and tires get prepped, harnesses get pre-routed, brakes arrive as modules, and tanks show up finished. Final assembly stays focused on controlled joining and checks, not hand-building from scratch. Reliability at this price point comes down to process, correct torque, clean routing, good connectors, and catching bad part batches before they snowball. A lot of online quality talk is really supply chain discipline showing up months later. And the math is simple. Volume spreads fixed costs across plants, tooling, and engineering, while big orders push down part costs. That's how they sell a 450 or 650 at a price that looks suspiciously reasonable and still protect margin. So yes, they can build them and they can price them to win. Next problem is moving that many bikes through real dealers without turning into a discount brand. Body 3. The front line, stores, service, and the export play. Once the bikes roll out of the factory gate, the job isn't done. The front line is the dealer network, shops and service bays that can move volume without making customers wait forever. In India, Royal Enfield has big city showrooms for the brand theater, and smaller town dealers that do the real work. Test rides, paperwork, deliveries, and service. The sales pitch stays simple. It's not most advanced bike on earth. It's you can afford it, you can live with it, and it looks right. A lot of buyers walk in for the classic or bullet vibe, even if they're cross-shopping newer tech. Dealers lean hard on monthly payments because finance turns a big purchase into a quick yes. Then come the add-ons. Guards, luggage, gear, service plans, high-margin stuff that keeps you coming back. Service is where brands either keep customers or lose them. At this volume, a tiny failure rate becomes a lot of angry people in the real world, fast. So dealers get pushed to keep trained techs, the right tools, and parts on hand. Regional warehouses and standardized service routines aren't nice to have. They protect the name. Exports are where the story changes. In India, it's often the default mid-size bike. Outside India, it's the value classic that undercuts a lot of Japanese and European options. But every market adds friction. Emissions rules, noise tests, licensing classes, and higher expectations for fit, finish, and dealer support. And this is where logistics becomes the global pulse. Bikes get crated, moved to port, shipped, cleared, tracked, and dropped into regional distribution. Dealers need to know what's coming, and customers need delivery dates that don't slide. In this business, predictable logistics is sales. Then there's the brand. Enfield sells heritage, but the real asset is a design language you recognize instantly. That consistency makes marketing cheaper, accessories easier to sell, and the lineup feel like one family, even as they quietly upgrade the stuff that cuts complaints. Fuel injection, ABS, better frames, better assembly control. Stack their output against Harley-Davidson or the Japanese giants, and you can see where Enfield is winning, and where they can't afford a slip. Body 4. The business math. Market share, revenue, margins, and competitors. Let's dive into the math, because the whole strategy only works if the numbers stay solid. In India, they aren't a niche brand. For years, they've been the default in the mid-size space, and some reports put them around 90% of the 250 cubic centimeters to 750 cubic centimeter segment. That's not fighting for scraps. That's defending a huge home base. Revenue isn't just the bike sale. The quiet money is everything after. Parts, service labor, extended warranties, gear, and official accessories. Every crash bar, pannier rack, and oil filter is another transaction with the same rider. And it works because the product idea is modular heritage. You get the classic look and feel, but it's designed to take add-ons without turning into a hacked-up mess. Margins confuse people. A cheaper bike can still be a good business if your build cost is controlled and your volume is massive. Big production runs push down part prices and keep factories loaded, while training costs get spread across millions of repeat tasks. The pressures are real though. Warranty claims, currency swings on imported parts, and the cost of meeting strict emissions rules in Europe and North America. Competition is all over the map. Harley sells a high-price identity at low volume, and the low-price newcomers can beat Enfield on sticker price, but often can't match parts support and dealer consistency. For most riders, it comes down to feel for the money and whether the bike stays on the road. The 450 is a bet on modern tech with the same vibe, and the 650 Twins are the grown-up option without the premium markup. To keep momentum, the company has to stay boringly consistent. Same build quality, same dealer support, every batch. Conclusion: old school look, modern scale machine. The real power behind Royal Enfield isn't just nostalgia, but the fact that they can sell a classic-looking motorcycle using a modern, high-volume production machine. If you enjoyed this look at how they go from the factory floor to the showroom, subscribe for more videos like this one. Also, check out our next video on how rival brands manage quality when the stakes are as high as the Dakar Rally. Let me know in the comments. Would you trust a 450 or 650 built at this massive scale, or would you rather pay more for a rival that builds bikes a bit slower?